Welcome back. Today we are going to have a little chat about the Tyranids, more specifically the Malstrain stuff that Games Workshop has introduced for Necromunda, because I feel that there is an absolute gold mine here, and I do not want them to squander it or not go half measures. I want them to go full tilt, full bore on absolutely everything to do with this, because there is potential to create, frankly, one of the most interesting and fun things we've seen for 40k in quite a while in the Malstrain side of things. Now, before we get into it, this video is sponsored by Warmag. We'll hear a little more from them later on, but you will remember a little while ago we saw these. We saw these lads. We saw our first Malstrain freaks, and I absolutely love these like you wouldn't believe. Well, you would believe it because you probably saw the video where we talked about it, and I could not stop gushing over these absolute nightmarish monsters. I think they absolutely nailed it with these. They are familiar. We still kind of recognise the Tyranid, the gene stealer aspect of these models, but there is something twisted, there's something freaky, there's something weird going on. And let's be honest, a lot of Tyranid stuff kind of looks messed up anyway. This, however, takes it to the next level. You've got all these strange growths and like deformities in the carapace. The heads just don't look right. They don't look right, man. They don't look right. The limbs haven't escaped unscathed either. I mean, if we look at the one on the right there, there is a big old growth of carapace, a big old spike growing out of the limb. That does not look pleasant, or really as though it's helpful in any way, shape or form, to be honest. Then, as if that wasn't enough, we got to see this thing. This is the Malstrain Coalescence, and it is every bit as hideous and freaky as the other things, if not more. In fact, arguably a lot more. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of odd growths, there's a lot of body horror, really a fantastic amount of body horror. It's something that Games Workshop does very well, body horror. They just don't do it all that often. Kind of feel like we've been spoilt recently between this and the brood horror / brood terror that we saw for the Skaven the other day. We're getting a good dose of, well, horrific growth, stretched skin, and too many spikes. Too many spikes growing out of places that they probably shouldn't be growing out of. Now, the downside to what they've done here is that I'm really, really excited for what they could do in the future and for the stuff that we haven't seen yet. But before we get onto that, this video is sponsored by Warmag. Warmag is a magnetic transport and storage system for your miniatures. Say, for instance, you have got a bunch of tanks and you need to take them 180 miles to take part in a very fun and very enjoyable battle report. What do? You take one of Warmag's base sheets that come in a range of colours and designs, you put them inside a really useful box, you take your magnetised models, you place them in the boxes, then you store them safely within the boot of your car, making sure they're tied down nice and firm so they can't go anywhere. And when you get to your destination, you unpack them happy and content in the fact that they have arrived with no damage. Okay, confession time, it wasn't zero damage because I punched one of the turrets on the tanks and broke an antenna off it as I was taking it out of the box. It survived the journey, didn't survive me. You have a great game of 40k with your mate, you pack it all back up again and bring it back home. It's just that easy. Check out Warmag using the link in the description and in the pinned comment down below, and keep an eye out because they'll be launching a new site in August. Thank you very much to Warmag for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to it. So we know that there are going to be more Malstrain horrors coming to Hive Secundus. We know that they are going to be releasing more models in this style. And the problem with what they've done so far is I think they've done such a good job that I'm a little bit worried that they won't have this level of commitment to all of them. See, I feel like this is actually quite a significant change. It's not maybe as big as, say, the shift to Primaris, for instance. I mean, that was a significant rework for an entire range of miniatures, which was the most popular, and still is, I believe, the most popular line of miniatures in the entire game. That was quite a shift, but at the same time, it was also taking a proven concept and just making it a bit bigger, scaled a bit better, and just a bit sort of crisper overall. And whilst we did have the sort of unfortunate side effect of them trying to introduce a whole new story to go with it, which was a questionable decision, I still don't know that there was any good way that they could have done that, if I'm totally honest. I still don't know. Was it a good idea to make them their own special thing in the universe? Maybe not. Would people have accepted just being told, here, all the Space Marines have been rescaled now, bye? I don't know that either. I suspect it was a lose-lose for them, although, is it a lose-lose if it's made them shed loads of money? I suspect they're fine with it either way. When it comes to this for some reason feels a little bit different, because the Tyranids are another established range, and instead of just doing the thing of updating them, which they have done to plenty of kits, they're taking these kind of established classics and things that we've known for ages and really, really messing them up. Like the Malstrain Coalescence, there is a healthy dose of Spore Mine in there, but the kind of inspiration for it and what it's ended up as, very, very different. You know, starts out looking kind of like a big old Spore Mine and ends up an absolutely fantastic example of really gross, awful body horror. Now, that is perfect for me. I love that stuff. Are they all going to be that bad? Do they all need to be that bad? Should they go increasingly more severe and more nightmarish as things go on? Like, do we take the Malstrain Gene Stealers as the baseline of, okay, there is something weird going on, there is something infecting these, they do not look right, there is a clear distinction here between these corrupted versions and the ones that we normally see. Take that as the baseline, and then the next step up is the Coalescence with an actual person wrapped up in skin with tentacles. I mean, come on, this can't be the baseline. Is this the pinnacle? Or are they going to really go for it? Are they going to properly go for it and produce more things just as messed up, if not a bit worse than this? See, I really, really hope that this is the midpoint. This is the bit in the middle. This isn't the one you look at and go, well, that's the most awful example of this whole Malstrain situation. I want this to be the one where you look at it and go, you know what, I think maybe they got off relatively lightly there. Because something that Games Workshop are really good at, as we've already said, body horror. They're fantastic at body horror. There are a few models in Games Workshop's entire catalogue that are properly horrifying. I mean, immediately I'm thinking of the Slaanesh model where it is a demonette playing a harp that is made from a bunch of strings made out of someone's sinews that have been pulled out of their body whilst they're still alive. That is, I think, one of the best miniatures Games Workshop's ever done, because it fulfills multiple different sort of criteria. There is something quite haunting about it. There is something actually kind of beautiful about it. It's also absolutely grim and awful, which, I mean, it's Slaanesh. It feels like that's what that should be. When it comes to a virus, a infection, something that takes the very sort of fabric of what makes a thing that thing and twists it and makes it grow extra bits here and there, fills it with pustules and weird sort of protrusions, that is something that could really lead to some absolutely fantastic sculpts. And the Coalescence is a good starting point for that. But I kind of want them to make it even worse. And it's making me question whether there's something wrong, just here. Well, I mean, there is, but, specifically to do with this. Because I really, really want to see Games Workshop sculptors let loose with the brief of, okay, we need you to make an absolute nightmare in Tyrannid form. We want you to make something that prevents people sleeping. If you could manage that, that would be great. We are in the prime position here for the Warhammer version of The Thing, the Warhammer version of Annihilation, the Warhammer version of Dead Space, of Colour Out of Space, that film as well, which I know I referenced in the video about the Coalescence, but that's because there's just something about it that really reminded me of a couple of really grim body horror scenes. They've got a talent for this. The people that they employ are definitely capable of doing this. If they don't go absolutely wild and turn it up to 11 and properly commit to the horrifying bit, I think it's going to be a really missed opportunity, because whilst the Malstrain Gene Stealers are cool, and while this Coalescence is fantastic, the fact is, I think this is the perfect opportunity for them to go absolutely wild with proper horror miniatures. That's what I want, anyway. I might be totally wrong. I might be barking up the wrong tree. I might be clawing at the wrong inners. I don't like that. That's not a thing I should have said. What do you think? Do you think they've gone far enough already? Do you think they should go further? Do you think actually it wouldn't work if they did, that it would become too excessive, too over the top, that this is maybe the furthest they should go with this style of miniature? Or, like me, do you want to see something that makes you question whether it's safe to turn the lights off at night? Let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things. Thank you very much to Warmag for sponsoring this video. Again, you can find a link to them in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.